Good evening, everyone. May I have your attention? Yeah, thank you and sorry for keeping you waiting. And I welcome the speaker and other attendees who have come here today. And let us use this time for networking. First, I'll introduce myself. I'm Pujita. I'm doing my MBA in Andhra University School of International Business.
Good afternoon. I'm Tanesh. I'm currently pursuing my MBA in Andhra University, and also I own my own construction and event management firm. And also, we recently entered into some business solutions stuff as well. Hello, my name is Jaya. I'm a brand consultant. I'm working on research topic on consumption thinking and design thinking. If anyone wants to correct me on that, thank you.
Just 1 minute. The people who are sitting back, if you come here, it will be easy to network. Sorry. Uh, Thank you. So please, to the next person. Oh, carry on.
Good afternoon. I am Ravi, studying BBA second year in Andhra University School of International Business.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Garima Singhi, currently pursuing Bachelor of Business Administration from Prism College. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Gayatri Machani. I am studying Family Second Year in Andhra University.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Madhuri from Andhra University Pharmaceutical Sciences Department.
Good evening, everyone. I am from Madurai. I am from Pharmacy Department.
Martin.
Good evening, everyone. I am Martin. I am presently pursuing my MBA second year in Department of Commerce and Management Studies in Andhra University. And presently, I am interning at AHA. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jaya Polumuru. I'm part of ICompaas, one of the presenters here, presenting my pitch. Hello, I'm Jaya Polumuru. I'm CEO of ICompaas. I'm here to present topic on navigating cybersecurity and new Good evening, everyone. I finished my master's in Andhra University, and currently I'm working for ICompaas.
Hello, everyone. I am Padmasha. I am part of ICompaas.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Myself, Elliot Sriver. I am a part of ICompaas.
Hi everyone, Alok here from local startup community known as Vizag Startups.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Raja Ganesh. I am a motivational speaker and I am a certified trainer from Impact Foundation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Paniketa Teja. I am a practicing chartered accountant. I provide corporate and legal taxation advisory services. I have a firm based at Vijayanagara named Maniketa Teja Associates. I also provide CFO services, virtual CFO services. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. This is Raj Kumar, and I'm a qualified chartered accountant, and I'm working in one of the Big Four organizations. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rajesh. I am into pharmaceutical distribution at Vijayanagara.
Thank you. Now first, I have few ground rules where you have to put your phones on silent mode, which is a bit hard, but we have to do it. And next, please don't walk in and out when a session is going on. And please don't talk in yourselves when the session is going on. Thank you. And now it's the big time. Let us start our day with the main speaker. Navigating the cybersecurity landscape, challenges and opportunities for business. As the business world becomes increasingly digital, the importance of cybersecurity cannot be overstated. Mr. Jaya Polumuru, founder and CEO of ICompaas, will walk us through the latest cybersecurity challenges and trends. Sir, the dais is yours.
Hello everyone. So thanks to Startup Saturdays to give me this opportunity to talk about passion of mine, which is cybersecurity. So I'll just give you a little bit of introduction about myself. Um, I was born in Vizag, but I grew up in Hyderabad, so don't hold it against me. I went to I worked in Hyderabad for a couple of years, and then pursued my masters in SUNY Binghamton. So it's State University of New York in upstate New York, and I worked for several companies. And later on, I saw one area that was being neglected, which is cybersecurity. Usually, it's an afterthought just before the release. People would talk about it or think about it. So what I realized was, okay, if you could automate certain functions, especially when it comes to compliances, I felt like it could be a useful tool. And that's where the seed of ICompaas started, and that's how I started this organization. And in 2019, so it's been a few years, and we have been on the journey of startup, and it's been actually really good and fun, and also hard as startups go. But as I was kind of doing this in US, and we are based out of California, and we do have a office in India, but I realized that I was not catering to the Indian market, and I started digging into more about what's going on, and that's what I wanted to actually share with you guys today. So I see that the GDP growth, and this is actually the source is printed right down there. You see that most countries in the world are not growing at this pace, and even China is the only other country, but even that is actually slowing, and their growth rates have been actually comparably less than India. And even in a lean year like 2023, we are expected to grow at 7%, which is actually huge because most countries are actually going to contract their, they're actually going to be negative, obviously, in terms of the GDP growth. So we see that that's actually growing. That's good for India. And then UPI, which I did not know a lot about maybe 6-8 months ago, and I started learning about this. And what I see here is the kind of growth it's taken on. I mean, 12.8 lakh crore transactions, worth of transactions in just 1 month in 2022. That is amazing to me, and I felt like if this amount of transactions are happening, obviously this is and the number of companies that are being started have also grown exponentially, and you see that there are now 1.6 lakh companies being started every year in India. So what that also means is that we are storing a lot of financial, healthcare, and personally identifiable information online. When data starts getting stored online, the companies who are doing it have a responsibility to make sure that you are taking all the precautions, you are encrypting your data, you're making sure the data in transit is also secure, and there's a lot of different aspects of security that you should be doing. Not everyone is aware of these and know how to do it, so that's kind of where we come in, but we'll talk about that later. It also kind of paints a huge target on our back because with all of this happening, with this kind of growth happening, already India is number 2 in terms of the target of all the hackers. So the amount of attacks that are happening, probably after US, it's India is getting the most number of attacks. And that is no coincidence because we are growing, and not only we are growing, our digital presence has immensely taken off, especially after phone pay type things that we are doing going like in the last few years. So the industries that usually get impacted a lot due to hackers and data breaches and ransomware is healthcare. Starting with healthcare because that has the most valuable data. We don't realize it, but a lot of our health information, personal information is being stored there. And not only that, a lot of this data is being used for your insurance premium calculations and all things like that. So then obviously the financial sector, because this is where your have your credit card info or the information about let's say if you have crypto coins or whatever else that you're storing from a financial standpoint. So those industries are going to be targeted more as well. They are being targeted a lot more as well. And as you can see, these numbers are actually in millions. So this is the amount of impact on an average that happens. So if you're in a healthcare industry, you're paying up to $10 million in losses. You're incurring that much loss. If you have financial industry, that's usually 5.9 or about 6. So if you go down the kind of list, as you can see, no industry is kind of outside the realm of attack, because anything that's valuable that's being stored, it's going to be targeted. So having a breach a lot of times cannot be avoided because you're not going to be running faster than the hackers who have all the time in the world. You have a lot more things to do than what the hacker has. Hacker has to just get in. So the worst thing is not just the getting breached part, is the time actually you're detecting. So even identifying that you have a breach is a big issue. So as you can see here, the trends have actually not gotten better. We would assume that over a period of time, that as you can see from 2016 to 2022, the average time that you're able to identify and contain a breach has only gone up. And that is actually a shame, because we are getting more sophisticated, but the the hackers are getting more sophisticated when it comes to actually covering their tracks and making sure that they are not getting detected. So if you can imagine, let's say you are thinking that your infrastructure, everything is safe, but some hacker has already access to your info and your servers, and you just don't know it. And a lot of times that knowledge comes later because you start seeing some discrepancies and stuff like that, and doesn't happen overnight. And this is not going to be something that you will be able to kind of navigate that easily. So again, you should be relying on certain tools and understanding this area for you to be able to move forward. So another thing I want to talk about is exposed attack surfaces. What does that mean? So anything that is public facing, and it is a point of entry for your hackers. So they are always looking to find things. So let's say you have some servers. I don't know how many people are familiar with AWS, but let's say if you have an S3 bucket open to the public and things like that. So you are exposing things to public, and the hackers whole job, and they can look at your DNS, they can look at aspects of your business, and they can find a lot of the information through that, and they can start attacking them. So the thing is, if you don't know which attack surfaces are exposed, it's like you're sitting on a time bomb. You don't know when it's going to explode, you have no idea, but it is. So you better get a handle on it. You better find out all your exposed public endpoints are, and make sure that you're actually securing them properly. Okay, so what are the different types of attacks that could happen? So again, this is kind of heavy. This is a lot of information I'm trying to throw at you guys, but just bear with me because this is going to be useful, right? So if you're running businesses, if you have, again, if you are part of a business, even from if you are a non-technical person, these are important information for you to understand, because this kind of becomes the basis for how you have a good strategy for your business, so in order for you to protect yourself from these type of attacks. So a lot of times this is underrated but happens a lot. A stolen or compromised credentials. So this happens often enough. That's actually your top attack vector. and then you have a business email compromise. So this happens multiple ways, but and usually phishing is involved in that as well. But if your business email gets compromised, then that becomes a basis for again intrusion into your system, and then they can get access to all your data. They can get access to your servers, your IP. You lose a lot once the intrusion happens. And you have phishing and a vulnerability in third-party software. This has actually increased in the last, I would say, past few months. So you need to take control of your third parties and vendors that you're onboarding as well. So there's a concept called vendor risk assessment, which is whenever you're onboarding someone, you want to make sure that they are actually following the right kind of industry practices that are required for them to keep their data safe, as well as because you might be sending them data that they have to store on their side, and you cannot have them having a very shoddy security practice. So you want to take care of that as well. So all of these attack vectors, and we'll make the PowerPoint presentation available to you guys who is interested. But these are many attack vectors that are being used today in order to get into your systems, get access to your data. So that's how that works. So, and I want to highlight phishing and ransomware is one of the biggest nuisances when it comes to cybersecurity. So phishing, as you know, it could happen through your email, it could happen to your phone. Someone might send a link that might seem innocuous. It might seem it's coming from a trusted source like a bank. Most typically nowadays, no bank is going to send you a link. So you should always remember not to click on links coming in your SMSs or WhatsApps or on your basically emails, especially if you don't think you can trust them. So phishing is a kind of a big one that's actually helping people get in. So and this is to do with because there are technical and non-technical people obviously that make up the company. Everyone needs to kind of be aware. So there are obviously security awareness trainings that happen, but you need to make sure because typically the weakest link is not your system, it's people's practices, right? You just get used to being or doing certain things certain way, and that's why it's kind of critical to focus on that. But then ransomware has become such a nuisance across the globe where people take over your system, they encrypt all your data, and they start demanding money. And there are ways to getting around this, but obviously at that point you have been compromised in a pretty bad way. So they have had access to be able to encrypt your data. That means there are admin level access to your systems. So that should not have happened, and if that has happened, that definitely doesn't sound good for your organization, and you end up not only paying them a lot of money to get them to unencrypt, but also you end up losing your reputation because obviously you have not been able to do your job securing your data. So as I mentioned before, the financial loss on an average when a data breach happens is around 9 million. A lot of companies cannot sustain for that kind of a loss. So a lot of them, that leads to bankruptcies, right? Like typically you'll not be able to kind of sustain that sort of that's kind of big loss, because it's not just a financial loss, it's also reputational damage. So now let's think about, okay, fine, let's get cybersecurity done. Like, what's the big deal in that? So I'll show you why it's a big deal, because these are all the topics that we have built this taxonomy of what our cybersecurity topics are going to look like. Meaning, someone who's in the field and who's actually doing, who's actually learning and doing some work in this has to deal with usually a segment of it. And if you're a CISO, or a Chief Information Security Officer for a company, you're expected to have knowledge around all of this and need to know how to navigate through these topics. And you have to tailor your business needs for these topics. So not everything is going to be applicable to you, but you need to know how to find which topics are relevant and make sure that you are actually implementing those practices. So obviously the reason why people cannot just go and navigate on their own or do it on their own is because it's a pretty complex area and it's a huge set of topics that you're dealing with. And then if you think you can just find one tool that's going to solve all your problems, that's also not going to work, right? So as you can see, this is an ecosystem of the different topics that I talked about, but under which these are all the different tools that are available. So why are there so many tools, right? I mean, why do you have to have like 50 or 60 tools, let's say doing vulnerability assessment, for example? The reason is that they all cater to different sizes of companies. And not only that, obviously the feature set is not going to be exactly the same. So you need to find the one that is the right fit for your company and if your company's size. So that's very critical, that a lot of people don't know how, and they actually sometimes overpay for something that they didn't have to. They should be, again, this is where intelligence or a person comes into play. Not everything can be solved by a tool. Tool is there to make things efficient and easily operational for you, but a person has to make decisions on trade-offs and how you could do things for the right fit for your company and for your team. So I believe that we have an opportunity not just to help, let's say, India, for example, and the ecosystem and the startups here, but also the entire world, because we have the right demographics. So we are one of the youngest on an average youngest people living in a country, and China is scrambling. They want to, now they're losing their policy of one child. Now there's two child policy, but they're trying to loosen that as well, because they realize that because of the demographic decline that they're seeing, they won't be able to like manage and have a good healthy kind of future without the basically young population there to kind of help get us through the next few years. So India has a big advantage there, and because again there's no dearth of IT talent, but we have to train them properly, right? There are, the cybersecurity side is a very lucrative, and also the one of the areas with the maximum amount of crunch in terms of talent. So I believe by addressing that and training more people and certifying more people here in India, that's going to really help not only India but also the entire global need that's there. Okay. So I believe, like, I'll give you an example of how some countries skipped laying the phone lines, landlines, and directly went to cell phones. And that was a leapfrog that was possible because the cell phones technology was available to them before the landline could be implemented. So I believe that we are that kind of place where if we embrace automation, we could actually leapfrog areas that we don't have to do and get to the better place right now rather than few years in the future. So we can then leapfrog US and Australia and Europe when it comes to kind of being at the cutting edge of cybersecurity. So I have to plug my company and our product called CISOBot.ai. So we actually help companies of all sizes, and actually we are focused mostly on mid to just a little bit bigger companies, not enterprise level as much, because we believe there are a huge number of companies who need help but they cannot afford it. We want to make it affordable for them to use a cybersecurity tool to help them out. What we do, again, as I said, it's an ecosystem. We don't solve all the problems, but we want to help get you the right answers. So the first thing is visibility into your infrastructure and knowing what your attack surfaces are. So that is really critical, and we help you do that. This is a screenshot of how it will look when you run it. And then we also tailor your, again, cybersecurity strategy for you. So this is where you will see the taxonomy that I was showing you before. We actually have it a multi-layered taxonomy as well, and this is an interactive graph. You can go in, you can put your statuses and actually manage your cybersecurity through here rather than in an Excel sheet or someplace that's not easily for you to navigate through. So we also do compliance automation. So we actually started with compliance as our focus, So when I say compliance, I'm talking about SOC 1, SOC 2, HIPAA, ISO 27001, PCI, that sort of thing. So we have actually written our automation to map to the controls of all of these compliances, and we are helping companies get their compliance certification done quickly. So that's kind of our, one of our key feature set that we have. And this is one of the reports, a compliance readiness report looks like. And again, we do continuous monitoring and alerting because we want you to keep on top of things and make sure that you do what is needed when it's needed. So that's it for me. Thanks for your time, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. So feel free to ask anything about cybersecurity. I'll do my best to help answer. Yeah, sure. You can. Yeah. No worries.
My name is Jay.
Hi, Jay.
Yeah. My question is, I think my computer person written.
Okay.
My question is, the best metric I think for a security check is not being visible.
Sure.
You're doing a good job.
Sure.
Certainly you're not visible or you're not.
Okay. The tool you mean, or
Sorry?
the tool not being visible, or
it running smoothly means,
Sure.
it is not like a detective analogy.
Yeah.
So how do you make your presence felt to a company, to an organization?
Right. So what we realize is there's a lot of it is education, right? So first thing, a tool running smoothly, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
Good job.
Yeah. It's doing such a good job that you don't feel like, oh, there's something running. Like, if there's good AC running, we are like, okay, we are feeling comfortable, but we're not thinking there's a good AC running. Yeah, absolutely. I get it. So in our case, what that means is that, let's say for a company, there needs to be a security team who's getting all the alerts and stuff that they're managing all that, and the business doesn't feel the impact of like, oh, I need to think about security for this now. No. That's been done for you somewhere, so you can keep continuing. So the guidelines and the guardrails have been set up for you, so you can work within that, and then you feel like you're focused on the customer, the business, growing that. So for us, that's the ideal scenario. That's what we want to get to, is we want to help you set it up so that the visibility I'm talking about is for yourself. You should be invisible to the attackers, right? Or invisible for others, but internally, you want the maximum visibility. The right kind of team members and the people should have maximum visibility into your infrastructure and what are your attack surfaces, all of that stuff. If you have the visibility, then you're able to kind of do a good job. Otherwise, you're not able to kind of even like plan when something happens, right? So you won't have a different strategy. You'll only be able to just kind of have to keep searching or hunting for it, and that could be costly for the company. So yeah, cool. Yeah. So I also have references for the things if you want to see that. Yeah, sorry guys.
Hello, Kiran.
Hi, hello.
You talked about the talent crunch.
Yes.
What kind of crunch you are seeing, and any companies here who are trying to overcome that, other training kind of a thing?
Sure. I'll plug one other thing that we are doing as well. It's called Wanna Practice. So we help aspiring analysts who want to get into the leadership role of, which is chief security officer, or basically kind of senior security analyst type role. There's CISSP, CCSP, CISM, CCSK. There are like a bunch of these acronyms, but these are all certifications, right? You could do, and there are for entry levels there are separate ones. So Wanna Practice, we actually help companies or people who want to get into the C-suite or basically the leadership side of security. So we are helping them go through the exam prep. So it's an exam prep tool in a way, right? So there's a lot of questions that we offer you, and then you can do it in a exam setting, or you could do it in a separate like module setting, and then you're practicing hard to like get to a point where you're comfortable you're doing a good job, then you can go give the actual exam. So we are contributing in that one way. We are collaborating with educators. So Ben Maliso, one of our partners, with whom we actually created the Wanna Practice, like that's a separate website through our collaboration. So what we are trying to do is kind of work with educators, right? They, and by the way, they have their students are all across the globe. So for him especially, he knows a lot of people in Delhi and a lot of other areas. So like basically, because it's a global program, he's able to teach everyone all across the globe. But that's one way, right? So one thing is even right out the gate, or even within the institutions. And I want to work with Andhra University wherever possible to help shape, like by the last year, if they have some certifications like CEH, right? So this one is for penetration testing. So if people get their certifications right as you're graduating, now you're employable right away. So again, it's about, I think some of these are initiatives we could make it part of the education kind of programs, but also I believe there are a lot of entry level certifications that people can do to get into the space, and then navigate through and figure out where they want to be, because it's a pretty vast kind of topics, the set of topics that are existing. So yeah, that is how we would go about it, I guess. Yeah. Ravi sir has a question, I think. Oh, I see. Oh,
No, just going around.
sure.
I was taking on what is talking based on
Yes.
Alok's question. I was two things I've done in the last 1 hour because I was running around, right? One is you're thinking of the Center of Excellence for Cybersecurity in the campus.
Perfect. Okay.
We like to talk how we set it up.
Absolutely.
Sure. And two is I talked to the head of the PIG, I think, for CID,
Oh,
for state of AP.
I see.
And that's there's a person of yours, James.
Got it.
That's his cousin.
Oh, I see.
And he needs help with respect to. He was in cybersecurity in the police department. They really don't know what's the head and tail of what's happening.
Sure.
You go and you report phishing, and they only do something related to some sort of. They can't do anything technical.
Okay.
So he wants to talk and see if Andhra University can help them set up this center.
Got it.
And also have some sort of a command center for cybersecurity, and then run these things out of. They have their own command center.
Sure.
Was 1 week back, there was a meeting trying to what should be done on the cybersecurity. It was not a phishing attack like you're talking about. Correct. Going around looking at it, there were about 5 people who were online. There was one of them. So it was.
I see.
So they have no clue of what's happening and how to at least do some awareness stuff. The department guys, even the police.
Yes.
Do not know if you tell them it's a phishing attack, what should be. So yeah, actually probably that's if they only know the phishing with the not the PH.
It's an analogy that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Actually fish and then you might
Correct.
Right. So these are two things that in the last 1 hour. They are just trying to say that there's a lot of opportunity. I know that people now started identifying that this is a big scale, big thing to talk of. But of course, the CID, the DIG or something, I don't know. I'll take you to him now.
Definitely.
But they're talking about the reason they could not set it up is because of the cost of the tools. So he's asking, is there anything that can circumvent that? Is there something?
Absolutely.
Maybe the physical infrastructure and all that can be provided, but the biggest thing that is constraining them to set up this stuff is the technical, the tools. And tools usage, training and all that stuff. How can they be helped with that? That was the question. So
absolutely.
I know there could be an answer, there might not be an answer, but something else.
I could definitely speak to that a little bit, right? So when I entered the space, when I was starting out, there was no particular solution. It's more of it's always a consulting kind of an environment when you want to do any kind of compliance. So if you want to do SOC compliance, SOC 1, SOC 2, or let's say very common like GDPR or things like that, especially in US, you're running a program. Then you have an outsider, usually an auditor or maybe someone else, who's kind of trying to interpret how things should be done. But those things are all pretty standard, and there can be some of this can be automated and all that, right? So what I realized was it becomes a very expensive endeavor when if it is a very consulting kind of thing, right? But then if you move away from that, if you go to tools like Prisma and all of that, they also offer something very similar, but their cost is around 40, 60, 80K per year, which is very cost prohibitive for someone in India, right? Yeah. So when I started, one of the things you will see, most of the sites will never reveal their price. We reveal our price. We tell you each area, like each tier, how much you're paying, and we kept it low because we wanted startups and smaller companies to be able to afford it, because a lot of times, even if they got in their mind that they want to do something, they see the price and they say, you know what, maybe later, and we definitely don't want to be like, what I wanted to do was like keep our costs low, right, of our company, and automate as much as we can, so we bring that value to the end user. So that was one of the things. Again, for the university and as our partnership, like we did sign an MOU yesterday, thanks to Mr. Ravi Tarak here. So we are happy to help out. We definitely want to work with the COE or DIG, whoever who can. We'll definitely establish some processes. Again, I'm not saying we know everything, but I know people who know, and the things that we are good at, we'll bring that to the table. Definitely our tools give you the certain visibility. We can definitely bring that to the table as well, in terms of like them using, and at least rather than having nothing, they have something. They can start from there, and then we can always recommend other tools or things that they can adopt, which could be the right fit for them. So
I know this is more from the process perspective, right?
Product as well. So we do have a CISOBot AI product.
Oh, that's the
so actually I'll show you the. So this, let's say for example here, right? So here we have, you can manage, these are all those topics with taxonomy we built actually, and we automated it so that you can manage them through the interface. And we have technology discovery. So we actually can discover the technology you have been using for the website over the past, usually for a year or so or more. We can discover that. So we want to again bring up and make it visible for you, not just because the hackers have all these tools, they're figuring it out. We want the same level of information available to you first, and then from there again set up the strategy to do more things. And yeah, that's kind of how we are operating. So it's a tool press process, but we start with the tool, and again this is where we bring our expertise, and again others virtual CISOs that are in our network, we bring in their expertise as well, and they can help out. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you for that. Any question? I think he had.
As Tarak had just mentioned, how do startups go about making sure that they can take the bare minimum precautions to, and what kind of, where do they get started, or where can they get started? Can you give, I know you can't give a symposium on this, but
sure. That's a great question, and that's exactly kind of what I was talking about in terms of we help you monitor your infrastructure and understand your attack surfaces, which is anything that's public from you, right? You might not know that you have, let's say, a public database. You might have done it because it's easy to get you started, and like you want to code, you want to just get your web page done. It's connecting to a database which is public. That's you see that very commonly. That happens a lot. But then you start growing and you just forget about that thing that's there. Using a tool like ours. I mean, I'm biased because I wanted to use my tool, but getting the visibility, right? So it doesn't cost you a lot. So as a startup, you don't want to spend a lot of money, but it gives you information over a period of time. So what we do is we scan let's say for a pro tier every 12 hours, and we keep sending you report of what has changed. So what has gone from compliant to out of compliance. We give you that information all the time. So now you can keep up with things. So let's say you didn't know that, so let's say having a deployment that might have changed something on your environment, and we give you all our info in one shot through an email. So you can actually go in and see what's happening in that account, so in that cloud account. So yeah, I mean, in terms of it's more about the culture. That's why I'm here really. In AHub, I'm saying I'm providing our services for free because I want to foster a culture of cybersecurity thinking, especially in startups and incubators, right? Because I don't want, I want them to at least think about it at some point, right? If there's a question, somebody should be able to answer that. They should not have to Google everything, because they'll just get generic answers in some tools or whatever. And that's why we actually have a liaison going to be sitting here in AHub, helping whoever has any questions and queries. That's kind of how we're helping. We want to help out. So we believe in that's the initial part is education, and if possible, adoption of some tool that's going to keep you safe to some extent. And we also advocate uses of things like Cloudflare, right? If you have a domain, you better secure it. It's very simple. But if you use Cloudflare, it's going to be easy. But a lot of people don't know about it. By the way, they don't pay me anything, but I will always advocate for things that I am passionate and I like, because we use it as well, and we believe that it has a very, very good benefit even on the free tier. It gives you a lot of benefits. So I would always recommend our companies, if they the clients we work with, if they don't have it, we first do that, then we go to the next things, because again, it's a step-by-step process. It's a education. It's understanding where you need to start, and I believe again that's part of the thing that we are trying to do really. So yeah. Yes, we do. So I mean, regular in the sense a technical person, right? So because let's say if you run a report, we have a link to a knowledge base. It gives you step-by-step instructions on how to resolve that problem. So we do that because again, we believe even if you don't have a SecOps team, which is typically they are more tuned to it, they understand more of the problems and they can go deeper and faster on it. But if you don't have it, you should not have to be handicapped, right? We actually provide you the link to a knowledge base where we illustrate everything step by step. We have screenshots as well, so you can actually go through the steps and then you can make that work. So yeah, we help that there. Okay, thank you. I can keep talking if you want, but I should do it. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for sharing us the abundance of knowledge, sir. And now I guess everybody's needs some boost. So please, we have our refreshments outside. Please refresh yourselves and come back within 5 minutes, in 10 minutes, so that we can have our empowering session. Thank you. Oh, yeah, no food inside. Please have it outside. I'm so sorry. And we have dustbins outside, please.
So I know we have Cloud Kitchen guy who's going to talk about the story and his idea of what he's doing, and then and also the idea of it. But, yeah, so I'm sorry. Then I will talk to that. He's speaking. So I think that's a complete
Once again, welcome back. And may I request all of you to occupy the front seats. When we all are together, it will be easy for the speaker who is speaking to connect with us easily. I say front seats. Okay, I could not see the bags. There is no. Then I'll start the pitch. I'll give a brief introduction.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, now for our second session, we have at ICompaas, and giving a brief introduction about the company, what they do. They empower business to efficiently implement a company-wide cybersecurity strategy through automation using our innovative product, CISOBot.ai. We assist organizing in performing gap analysis and setting up complaint monitoring in a matter of minutes. So, sir, the stage is yours.
Thank you. CISO. yeah. Cisco is the generic term that comes to your mind. So.
CISOBot? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I think you might have seen somebody like me here because.
Sorry,
oh.
mentioned that 10 minutes
yeah.
time and 5 minutes for the Q&A session.
Yeah. Sure. So you might have seen somebody like me here. A better version is here right now, but so yeah, thank you so much for your time today. I know it's an awesome weathered Saturday evening, but you guys are all here because you are part of a startup community. You want to contribute, and that's why I really love talking to people, startups. I'm Ravi. I'm the one of the co-founders of ICompaas. I actually am the employee one even before JP Jaya Polumuru, who started the company. I was actually working for him in 2019 October. But yeah, this has been a very long journey and a journey where we were able to understand and pivot a lot. But what I want to talk to you today is what is my pitch. I think JP did a decent job selling this to you, but let me try in another way. My approach would be totally in terms of operationally how this would work, right? Or if you're a small business, you want to quickly implement things, I'd probably guide you through that. All right. Once the end of the session, you could ask me questions, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So what is ICompaas? ICompaas is basically it is infrastructure compliance as a service, right? So if you're having an application that is in cloud, that is you have a SaaS based application that you are trying to build and you are using infrastructure public. That'll be great. Hello. Yeah. So so if you are thinking about solving your cybersecurity or security related issues and you have your applications running on cloud, specifically public cloud, AWS or Azure, we can help. Somebody asked about, hey, how does a small guy, a startup, will be able to understand this, right? And this is where we'll say, use us. Recently, we are actually working with AHub to associate and help out all the infrastructure startups that are part of AHub, NASCOM, to basically give that first step, right? Before I tell you the story, before my 10 minutes run out, I will try to walk you through why we require it. I think some of these images are something that you just saw with JP explaining this. So let's start. So in our discovery, what we have realized is people are not thinking about cybersecurity right till the end of a product launch, or when there is an event that is going to happen. What is that event? Is an auditor coming in or a company coming in and saying, hey, we like your product. That is when the scramble begins to understand, hey, do you have the right processes and policies in place? And that is where we talk about compliance readiness, and where we can help you with making sure you're reaching to that event. So whatever that event could be, a company likes you and wants to take over your company, you want to expand to European regions, North American regions, that's where you could use that. So what we have identified is more than 1 million or 10 lakh customer companies, small and large companies, don't have a strategy in place. What this kind of associates to is we don't have a chief information security officer for more than 1 million startups and small businesses, right? That is kind of scary, because it is, because you need to have somebody taking responsibility of security, right? So I'll go more deep into that. Generally, CEO is basically taking care of all the responsibilities, right? So they are taking care of the technology aspect, they're taking care of the security aspect, maybe not so much security, but they're thinking about, hey, how do I secure some of these aspects, the website, maybe SSL certs, etc. And the other aspect is the financial aspect as well, right? When you are a company, owner of a small company, you'll have a lot of responsibilities that you will be able to do, you'll have to do, right? And this is where security is not on top of your mind, because you're thinking, okay, who's going to use my product, what are the feature sets that need to be there, how easy is it going to be for me to go to market, right? And this is where we want to help. I think this is a security as a whole. Again, I spoke about an event, right? Think about how your application is running today, right? It has to have some kind of a connection that you'll have to make with vendors. So you need some data. Let's say you are a HR management system. You have a lot of data that you have, maybe from Naukri or any other source. You have to feed it into your system and then process it and then do something with it, let's say, right? So what is happening is, do you know how safely they have stored that data? Because what you're processing might also go there, and your data is going to be visible for them. And do you have the right controls in place? Whenever I say control, think about a policy, right? Is your data protected properly? All of these are controls. Okay. Sorry, how many minutes more? Finished. Okay, 4 more minutes. All right. So I'll skip through some of the points that I think you will notice that are similar. Amount of time taken to identify a breach. Yeah. So a CTO, Chief Technology Officer, currently plays the role of a Chief Security or Chief Information Security Officer, right? You want to understand the starting steps of where do we start. And this is where I think one of the easier ways to do this is using ICompaas, right? JP spoke to you about, this is called a taxonomy. What this talks about is everything that is related. Obviously, all companies will not have everything related, right? And this is where our tool is able to identify your technology framework, what is your technology stack, and then process this information automatically, right? I can, again, I'm available here. You want to talk to me about this? More than happy to talk. This is how the CISO ICompaas or CISOBot site looks like, or application looks like. All right. All right, so this is one of the most important aspects of what we do, right? So let's say you are a company, you are doing well, and suddenly, let's say the government says, hey, PDP, right? Personal Data Privacy Law. You need to have this implemented, so that because you are gathering customers' data, customer information. Now, for a layman, it might be, or for anybody, this might be a challenge. They have to first go to the website, download that policy, understand each and every piece of it, and then try to translate that into a technical aspect that they can understand, a policy that they can implement, and then put it in through the system, right? And this is where we can help. So there are also a lot of questions that companies would ask you, right? If you're, again, I'm talking about an event where somebody likes your environment and say, hey, we want to integrate with you, then that is the time when they are going to ask you that, hey, do you have this backup policy? Do you have, are you encrypting all your data, or other questions like that, right? So we automatically generate policies for you because we are able to see your infrastructure. Once we are integrated into your public public cloud, we are able to scan your infrastructure so that's where JP spoke about continuous compliance. So we scan your infrastructure every 12 hours, able to give you that, hey, these are the things that are not according to the they're not passing the check, right? All right. So this is actually a good segue to talk about the events. One of the events that I was not mentioning is compliance, right? So there is an ISO 27001 compliance for security, or a SOC 2 compliance, that is for security, that you will have to do as a company. If you are a decent sized company, your application is working fine, I'm telling you for sure that an American based someone would say that, hey, I want to work with you. Do you have this compliance, right? And that's where so that's where we can actually help you accelerate for you to get into the compliance area, right? So I guess I can talk a lot about this in terms of what we do, but we want to make sure that we want to empower the CTOs, the technology personnel, the operations team to have a better understanding of their overall infrastructure. All right, so yeah, that's what we want to do. Thank you so much for your time. Any questions? We are already helping a lot of people, so yeah. So very good question. So what happens when we give everything for free? One, nobody might care. Then people who are smart like you would say, ask that question, what would I get out of it? We are betting on small startups to become unicorns, right? Ahub is a very good platform where all of this is starting out. We have an ecosystem of 100 startups. I'm coming from Hyderabad. T-Hub is a combination of 1,000+ startups, right? They have produced 7. If you guys know how, can you please raise your hand if you know what's a unicorn? Okay, so unicorn is basically if your company's valuation reaches $1 billion, that's a unicorn. All right. So now we are saying that out of 1,000 companies, 7 companies were unicorns last year for T-Hub, right? Ahub is a budding small incubator that is going to takes the socks off of everyone. You know why? Because who is working in Bangalore? How many Andhra people from here are working in Bangalore? How many people are currently in different areas, right? The talent pool is awesome, and we totally believe in the Ahub story, because this is going to only grow. There is no other way this can lead to, and we want to be part of that story where we are at rightly at the initial piece, where we are helping the startups. And once you guys know, right, you will probably remember this, because once you have an event happening, somebody comes to you and say, hey, compliance, I almost think you guys will remember me saying, hey, somebody there, ICompaas, was talking about this. They knew what they were talking about, right? So we get to interact with initial stage companies who are going to grow. If you are passionate about what you're doing, we know you will grow, and we will grow with you. Oh, okay. Sorry, yeah, I have that tendency, but yeah, sure. Thank you. All right, guys. Any other questions? Oh, yeah, I think I can speak from there.
I don't know if this is off topic.
Yeah.
About something called ethical hacking. It's the best form of defense is to attack. So,
okay.
Is there any strategy that the company is?
All right. It's actually a very good question. Sure. So think about what you're talking about in terms of ethical hacking is talking about what is exposed for you, right? So JP also had spoke about something in this area. Whatever is exposed is what can be discovered online. So I have so many tools. So ethical hacking is principally talks about getting an acknowledgement from somebody before you're getting some kind of a testing done. White hat, they call it multiple things, but yeah, ethical hacking is a very important aspect in terms of what we're doing. Another important aspect is when your company comes in news, it's kind of a good and a bad thing, because people start looking at you, not your website, how your code, what is, do you have any open code in GitHub? Do you have something that is open somewhere, right? So ethical hacking is part of how eventually companies will have to handle whatever comes in, right? There is something called bug bounty. Have you heard of it? So companies actually openly say that we have a bug bounty kind of a policy, where if I have a bug, you identify that bug, I'll give you money for identifying it, or at least recognition, right? So ethical hackers would do that. They will write a email to you saying, hey, we have identified this, fix it. Once we fix it, we say, we put it somewhere there saying, hey, this particular person helped us do that, right? So we have just to elaborate, we have a security operations team, right? We actually does that ethical hacking. Again, in India, if you ask anybody, it's called VAPT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. It's the cost in the US is huge. Penetration testing alone will cost you a huge amount of money, and startups cannot afford this, right? So yeah, that's where we have a team that actually helps out, does a initial passive scan, and then once we get an acknowledgement from you saying, hey, yes, can you do some digging into how our code is, if you're able to identify something online that is going to be bad for us, we do that for you, right?
Also, are the startups usually based on ethical hacking?
Oh yeah. So I have been last 1.5 years has been a total roller coaster for ICompaas. I've visited US a couple of times, been to Chicago, California. What I've seen is there, and also in India. So when in India, I was at Kochi and also at Bangalore for major tech summits. What I've noticed is there are so many companies that have come up in India as part of the VAPT or the ethical hacking kind of a perspective. I've seen a young guy having a 250 member team who are only doing this. And so, yeah, there is a lot, but they are not automating any of those aspects, right? So key thing is, even if you are a small guy, a small startup, you have a tool like ours, you're able to pull it in. We have something called web app scanner, gives you a basic 10 pointer OWASP top 10 kind of issues, right? So unless you take that first step of registering yourself into one tool, I'm not only talking about ICompaas, maybe Cloudflare, right? You don't understand the impact that could be. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for the question. All right. I really appreciate all of your time, guys. Thank you so much.
Now I'd like to welcome Mr. Balakrishna to pitch about his own company. You have 5 minutes with you, sir.
So my name is Balakrishna and we have started a cloud kitchen. So basically cloud kitchen is a concept where you can test your restaurant style business with a very minimal cost. So let's say if you want to start a restaurant, a hotel type business, it takes around 10 to 20 lakhs or maybe it will goes into crores. But you can test your product by cloud kitchen, which is we have started from 30,000 rupees. And initially after 6 months, we are seeing a revenue of 1 lakh rupees. So this is our business model and we want to expand in Visakhapatnam and we are looking for some founders who are interested in doing food business or something. If anyone can contact, tell me sir. Yeah. Yes. In Gajuwaka BC Road. We have to do market research. Actually, that kind of product is are people looking to buy. Samosa is a very initial. You can just get by roadside. Everyone thinks that my recipe is unique. So and everyone has. Menus and yeah. We are initially providing franchises. We are working on that. We will start maybe just for 3 brands. We will charge 1 lakh rupees, and we'll go give you training regarding, and we will onboard you on Swiggy, Zomato, and we'll give all the supports. No, we are doing right now business. Gajuwaka BC Road. We are doing this. Only we are right now doing only biryani, veg biryanis. So we saw an opportunity in those areas. Everyone is selling only a non-veg dish. So we have introduced only veg biryani, and the cost of the product is it starts from 200 rupees, goes to 2000. So that's why you have to be different from the market.
How do you do
market research?
What do you find?
There are 10 to 5 parameters. You can search online, you can talk to your customer, you can especially go to areas and start exploring yourself also. What is not available in the market. So what we have done is we worked on the packaging. We started eating other brands to compare what they are lacking in. So we find there is a lot of inconsistency in the product taste or maybe the ingredients. So just like McDonald's is, if from India to West, you will find the same product, same design, everything is same. But in India, there is a lot of challenge. From 1 kilometer is the whole, even idli is a basic thing, but for 10 steps ahead, you can see whole, there is no standardizing those things. That's a main challenge. So we have to standardize those things.
So, but like actually finding that veg biryani, you could put in that Rajwa area, right? That was the thing that you did because you said first, you selected the area.
Yes. Yes.
Then you felt, okay, what is the one thing that is lacking? And so, because it's easy to find what people are looking for, but it's not easy to find what they are not. But still, there is demand. How do you know that veg biryani will have enough demand?
Okay.
But it's not being served.
As I told you, when we started, we initially in first month we do around 10,000 rupees business. Now we are making a lakh rupees, so you can see the demand has been surging.
Okay. So you picked one and then
yeah.
you tried it out.
Yeah.
Just some amount, so you know to test it out.
Yeah.
And that's how you find out what you know.
So we can see in our revenues is increasing. So there is a definitely demand for that. Online. Swiggy and Zomato. Biryani Desire Box. Biryani Desire Box. There is a concept because box means from our birth to till end. We live in box, we travel in box, we eventually die in a so that's a concept. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And now the popular session, open mic session, where you can share your ideas, whatever it might be, initial stage or you have done it, whatever, you can share it.
Oh, sorry.
Meanwhile, anybody who have idea, whatever, you can share with us. Business ideas. Anyone? Repeating for the last time, anyone? Okay, chalo. Then let's take the comments from the students who are here today. Yes. Actually, you are new, very new to us, so we are asking you for your comments.
What they're expecting from this form.
My name is Gayatri and I'm studying pharmacy second year in Andhra University. Actually, I'm here just to get an experience how the startup ideas are getting shared. And I have an idea, but I want to develop my. I don't know. Secret actually. I want to develop my idea.
We can help you.
Have you registered for E4 club?
No, not yet.
Do you have a knowledge about that club? Like, do you know that their existence?
I don't.
Okay, we'll contact you.
Yeah.
And because you are Andhra University student, so it's actually only for Andhra University students. So that is not. I'm not making it official. Thank you. Present students. And now I would like to take the comments of our speaker of the day.
Thanks for having me here, and I'm happy to kind of share where we are and what we're doing. And I think you guys are everything, but I'm hoping you that support for actually, like, startup. I'm sure like you also do a lot of good advice, different areas. Right? The one that I'm doing, I have different challenges, I think. So these but I think it's always good to have both here, and I definitely offer my time. I want to talk to me about start a IT company, product, whatever my experience is.
Thank you, sir. Now, anybody from the audience can share your reviews. We are ready to take whatever you give us. It's open.
Yeah, I think I didn't expect this organized kind of a chaos. Normally, you see a lot of chaos in and people are organizing stuff, but I really felt everything is thought of and very well. It's very difficult thing to do. This what you guys are doing, and with a small staff, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? I thought you'll only pose the questions.
Yeah, my session would be that, maybe to explore the famous entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs, like a session on how his life story and how he starts to success. That would be my session. And so, famous books also we can explore on entrepreneurs, on entrepreneurship. So, that's my session.
Yes, sir.
Doing good job. That would be a added value.
Yes, we'll do it. Thank you, sir.
But adding to that, we already tried that with Pickebook or something like that. But it's really boring sometimes. So, yeah.
So, do you have any thing to say?
We'll do it differently now. So, there are people who had come in after I had come. Sorry for being late to your session. I'm expert in the first part. Somebody better than you, according to his claim. So just so that he's talking behind your back, and we thought you should know about it. So would you like to tell us where you are from and what you are here for, and even you, the three of you?
Hi, I'm Sindhu. So I got to know about this from Diwakar, and yeah. So basically, last 10 years I've been working in IT industry, software engineer. So right now I'm a manager. My company is Nutanix, it's in Bangalore. So because of the COVID advantage of working from home, around 2 years back we both moved with my husband. So we both so yeah, so we both moved back to Vizag, and we always had a dream to start something in art, and we thought why not use this opportunity and art. So we started something called as Madhyamata Studio around 1.5 years back. So I'm a potter as well. I do studio pottery, and he's into carpentry. He's an artist as well. The thing that pays money is Monday to Friday we both work for IT, and weekends we try and run the studio. And so recently we had to pause our studio like a month or 2 months back, and we've been thinking of Madhyamaka 2.0. So that's when we were like, how can we take it further and make it more economical and make money, because it's art, it's very difficult to make money. So just before we paused, we made a lot of we made some ceramics for bean board. We made some cups for them for their new cafe, 200 cups. So it's just both of us working there because we were not able to find any artists and all. So I can go on and on about the good and bad stuff of our studio. Uh, yeah, but yeah, so we thought it will be nice to meet more people, understand the city well, because we left as students and we came back as different. Yeah, so what are we missing? So Saxon Divakar said this is a very nice place where you can listen to people, and yeah, that's the only goal. Like, listen to others talking ideas. You never know when something strikes. Yes. Oh, yeah. I think I spoke to. Okay. No, so the building where we used to have the studio, they kind of they're developing it. They're redeveloping it. So there's no building there anymore. Sadly, so now we've paused, and we thought we'll start back again with the different. Setup. But we can meet without the building as well. Thank you.
Story is pretty much similar. IT jobs. So I work as a product manager at a tech startup. Right now I'm freelancing. At the same time, I'm yeah. Freelancing for the fintech startup. Yes. Based out of that.
What's the startup name?
It's called Moving.
The number of people that are working in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and other places, IT, and we're actually working from home in Vizag, around Vizag, it's huge. Every single time we are having people like you working from home, I've got a luxury to do this. A few of them said the company, like 4 days ago I talked to somebody who said working in a large company, branded company, but the HR person said, this lady said, oh, give me a chance. The boss is saying, I'm ready to give her a chance. HR person says, no, fine. And so she's not here now, and she doesn't want to go somewhere. She's available to work. But when there are people like you who are working, just the numbers are incredible. There is a reason why I'm doing this, by the way.
You can take it, sir, but just mic a bit louder.
Really? You hear it? So the reason for doing this is because of the fact that hey, I want to share. There are many ideas that we keep developing. The one challenge that I want to point out to people who say I have an idea and I want to, I'll only tell you after I refine it and after I can make it better. Not to criticize you in any way, just feedback. One issue that I can share is this idea that I have an idea, I'll work on it, and you continue to work on it until you are 70 or 80 years old because you never implement it. You never take the step to implement it. You don't take that first step because fear gets into you after a while. And when you're young, there's nothing to lose. You know, people have family, people have the support, people have children, people have lots of things. I have a car to pay for, I have a house to pay for. Right now, you don't have that. And the biggest concept that we encourage, I believe, people is first go ahead and implement your idea and fail fast. Do something, fail in it. Fail in 1 month, fail in 3 months, but fail in it, learn from that, and go learn something else, do something. This is why they're doing 2.0. Right? So, so my thought on this are, if you can identify all of those people who are working and who are out of work but have a lot of skills in IT or any other field, bring them together as a pool or a workplace. Company is saying, hey, we have this pool. of people who can provide these services to you. You can pick from the school and you can say kind of like a Fiverr, a copy of that and all of that. But this is a limited thing where you're saying I have the school in Vizag and people in Vizag can use them or you can use them remotely, but they're not going to move from here. If you're interested, here are these resources. Because the biggest challenge that every one of us is having is talent people. They're not able to cybersecurity, not enough people. Databases, not enough people. React, not enough people. Product management, not enough people. Pottery, not enough people. Carpentry, not enough people. Somebody who has to fix the light bulb in your house, not enough electricians to come to your house for a 5-minute job. So maybe a pool of people. Anyway, I'll go on and on and on, but before that,
Just 5 minutes, I will wrap it up. One group photo and we are done.
So here I came to understand the idea of the people and the startup, how it will go. Yeah. One of your stories. Yeah, even including you. Your
takes 5 years. What we like to learn?
Hi everyone. I'm running a startup called Magic Services. We provide fitness equipment services for fitness companies like Culfit, Street Fitness in India. So right now we are providing service in 2 states, Andhra and Telangana. So right now we are planning to expand pan India. So like I just came here to network with the people. Fitness equipment services like installation of the product and repair services.
What do you plan to do at
Yeah, that's like we get technicians from the local vendors and from the
So hi everyone, I'm Hamza. We run aquascaping small business kind of thing where we help interior designers or hotels or offices to beautifully design their aesthetics of the room or the space. So currently we are doing one project for our college itself, and 2 to 3 projects we are dealing outside. Like I come here for networking, for better people to understand startups much in a much better way, and the sessions here are so good. Like I learn new things. I connect them on LinkedIn and maybe like approach them. They are also very helpful. They reply me back when you take a key point of the session and message them. They obviously reply you back, and that's how I love to build my network. Thanks.
So, if you submit a application to Ravi, I
Yes, sir. I thought we'll come back better and strong by 2 to 3 prototypes. And okay, sir. I'll submit a prototype. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Polumuru. I'm Arjun. So I work for media technical lab. So this media so I'm here. But the children business. When I was student, we don't have the opportunity. So I would like to say, and there I can.
Yes. You can pass it.
Is my friend.
Done, sir, in the starting itself. Yes. Thank you, Srinivas sir, for engaging us all this time. And now we have few announcements. We have few announcements that March 25th and 26th we are conducting hackathons in the AU incubation. The team is designed, so people who are interested can contact us. And if you scan this QR code, you can register your attendance. So as you know, we are building this community. So I wish you will all be the steps of this community. Yes. In the meantime, please scan and make your attendance.
So it's not a college with attendance to be filled in, but the reason we are doing that is to get an idea of who's come on each day. And second, once you have that, you get invitation to the WhatsApp group that you can join, so that you know what is active. Okay. You know what kind of activities are happening, and also the next startup Saturday, the startup Saturdays meetings happen on the first and third Saturday of every month. The coming meeting, the first weekend happens to be, the first Saturday happens to be April 1st. It is not April Fool's Day. We will have, not going to fool you, we will have a meeting. Do come and every one of the meetings that has been held, those meetings, the video has been uploaded. The video has been uploaded, are being uploaded to the YouTube channel. So if you have spoken, you will find yourself in the YouTube channel where so you can check out the videos over there. The hackathon that we are having next weekend is primarily, it's not an IT hackathon this time. It is actually based on design, and a few of the design challenges are challenges that are more about accessibility. And we might, now that both of you have come and talked about your startup, we might do something, we might give them a problem after I talk to you on a design challenge related to what you guys are doing, so that it will be interesting enough for people to try out. I think Hamza would fit in, you and your company will kind of fit into some design challenges that they propose. So whether you're pharma, whether you're law, whether you're studying MCA, whether you're studying or you're working in SCA, whether you're an international business student or you're an engineering student or biology, you might find these, as long as you're creative or you think that you can solve problems, you would find this hackathon to be very interesting. So do register or let people know about this so that they can do it. Any questions about that? We have a couple of other things that are coming up. There's an annual event that is going to happen. Some people are forcing us to change the date. So I cannot reveal the exact date, but sometime in the third or last week of April, there's going to be an annual event where there are going to be multiple things that happen, including an internship drive. So those of you who are looking for people who can want interns, And those of you who are looking for internships will benefit from that, as well as calls, as well as some workshops, product launches, startup MOUs, exchange, and so many other things. We'll be able to give you more details in the Startup Saturdays group, as well as your email once you sign up.
My